Okay, this morning we are at Arches National Park. This is in Utah. We're going to give you a view of what it's like to be here. So before we start doing that, we're going to go to the arches and different areas, the viewpoint, so you can actually see the area. Before we do that, I'm going to back up and show you what it's like coming into the entrance, because it might be a long line. Show you what the prices are like. The road coming in, we'll do it in fast forward so you can see what it's like driving through the park. And then we'll go to some of the spots that are within here so you can see exactly what it's like to be here in Arches National Park. I want to say this real quick. As you pull into the park off the highway, they say that this road gets really busy. There's times that people are waiting an hour or two to get in. The slowest times being first thing in the morning and then late in the day. So get your tickets in advance and plan accordingly. So as we pass the visitor center, we're now making our way through the park. This is about a 20-mile road that wraps through this park, and everywhere you look, it's just got amazing scenes. We're going to play the video about 5 times normal speed, and we're just going to drive through part of the park and get out and start looking at the scenes. While this is going in fast forward, I'm going to play a song for you. This is a song that they built for us custom in Warrior Path. That's PATHH. If you know a combat veteran or a first responder, I'm talking fire, police, or EMS, that may be struggling and could use the benefits of going through a program to face PTSD or anxiety, any kind of mental stresses, look him up. Look up Sheepdog organization based out of Rogers, Arkansas, that also they are putting on the Warrior Path program. So while I was in, they built a custom song for me and brothers of mine that went through this program, and all based on things that we said, and they formed it into a song. I'm going to play that with you or for you, and remind you that this channel was built sharing our experiences as we're traveling around and growing from the stresses that we have faced in life. So bring more awareness to PTSD, anxiety, and stress. Share the channel and check out some of the other playlists.
I'm feeling lighter than I've felt in years. Finding forgiveness in myself, facing fears. The light's coming back on in my weary eyes. I'm setting down that mask so I can see inside. Lord, forgive me and wash away this pain. Please rebuild me without the guilt and shame. I've been carrying this burden round like I'm nailed to a cross. I didn't know how heavy until I dropped that rock in Arkansas. Been living in chaos, starving family from the why I'm the way I am and not the same guy. The guy that was the rock for everyone he loved became a lost and hollow shell of the man he was. Lord, forgive me and wash away this pain. Please rebuild me without the guilt and shame. I've been carrying this burden round like I'm nailed to a cross. I didn't know how heavy until I dropped that rock in Arkansas. Rock in Arkansas. I want my family and friends to see that I'm strong again, rising from the ashes to be there for them. Just want to be there for them. Lord, forgive me and wash away this pain. Please rebuild me without the guilt and shame. I've been carrying this burden round like I'm nailed to a cross. I didn't know how heavy until I dropped that rock in Arkansas. Rock in Arkansas. Rock in Arkansas.
I think a lot of people can relate to that song. If you know somebody that may be struggling, hope you share the channel with them, maybe this video with them. There's a lot of different stuff on the playlist. Check it out. So as we are coming to this first stop, we are going to be actually stopping basically in the middle of Arches National Park, and that's where we're going to park. And we're going to just take off from there. We're going to start at the middle of the park, work our way to the end, and then go all the way back to the beginning of the park, looking at some overviews, and make our way to the north and south windows. So there's a lot to see here. You definitely want to bring plenty of water, some snacks, and be ready to maybe even bring a meal, lunch with you, and lots of water and good walking shoes.
Okay, we're going to start with the trail to the Petroglyphs and to the Delicate Arch.
Could have lived here in 1906. All right, let's just walk up and take a quick view inside. And the first spot you come to. Morning. Now looking back towards the Petroglyphs, you'll come down the trail and you'll see this off in the distance, those little dots being people. After you make your way down this valley and back up the other side, you are about 2/3 of the way there. That hill will probably be your hardest climb. So it's a pretty serious hike. You can see the parking lot off in the distance, zigzags back and forth. It's pretty steep hill you have to climb, and still more to go. We can say these are Native Americans. Oh, I'm sure it's just new culture graffiti. And here's where we just were. Trail continues. And the trail continues.
Said I hear them saying ledge. I think I'm gonna stay right here.
They say it's just
And you have to go around that corner. And here is the last of the trail. See a little arch over here? And here's the last little bit of the trail. A little bit of a drop off on the side. Would it kill you? 99% chance. If not, massive head injury and you'll die on the helicopter on the way to the hospital. We'll stop here against the wall, take a quick view around.
Whichever.
This is actually cut at an angle, so if you fall, you would roll into the wall. Okay, so once you make it to the top, this is 1.5 miles to get to this point. You've got the Delicate Arch in the background. Obviously, the left side of the arch is pretty delicate. When you get up close, you can see just how much thinner that is on the other side. You've got an awesome viewpoint from this top. And back behind us, now you can start seeing this is the trail, people coming up, the drop off. And over here, more to the right, you can see another small arch and more viewpoint. Make sure to bring water up here and tie your shoelaces tight. And when you're on your way down or on your way up, I guess, when you get to the spot where it looks like the sidewalk is on an edge of a cliff, you'll see this little arch. And from here you can see the Delicate Arch and the view all the way over to the other smaller arch. Not everybody's smart enough to know that when the generator's running, you have AC going. So you might want to go ahead and put on a note on your RV that says, "My dog has air conditioning, so you don't come back to a broken window."
If you do not want to do the 3-mile hike that changes elevation around 400 feet to see the Delicate Arch, you can drive about 1 mile past the trailhead and come to this viewpoint. This is the lower viewpoint, is back behind us. This is the upper viewpoint. You can see it just fine from here if you would like.
Little history lesson. And here's the entrance to the viewpoint for the arch. Again, if you just wanting to view it and not make your way to it. We're gonna make our way to the next stop. Now we'll fast forward and get to the Salt Valley Overlook. And so this will be your view from the Salt Flats Overlook. Kind of looks like a giant dam off in the distance. So we are back on the road and we are riding over to the Fiery Furnace.
Okay, this is the Fiery Furnace. This is one of the park's overviews that Arches tries to keep 100% wild, 95% wild. They only do a couple of canyoneering and rappelling permits a year. So this area is in its natural state most of the time.
Now as we leave the Fiery Furnace area, Sammy spotted what looks like some Easter Island heads over here having a staring contest. Sammy spots what she calls the divorce rock. Now as we continue down the road, we are going to make our way to several more arches. There's a lot more to see. The next one we're going to come to is a sand dune arch. The sand dune arch is a pretty short walk. It'd be great for any age. Lots of kids were over there playing when we arrived, and it's a great place for pictures. You can make your way to the back of the sand dune area, the sand dune arch area, and there's a really cool wall that's really tight together, provide you some shade, cooler temperatures. We're almost there. I'll show you here in just a second. Sand Dune Arch Trail. Small walk across the parking lot, the field, and then you come to this little narrow. You can take the high road or the low. And this is the Sand Dunes Arch Trail. Pretty short trail, super cool because you're down here walking in the sand between these giant rock formations. Just past the sand arch, you keep walking on that trail, it dead ends in this really tight spot. Get an idea what it's like really being between these rock formations. Little tunnel there. It's more like confined space training. And if you hike a little bit past the sand dunes or the sand dune arch, you can make your way back here. This little quiet area. The sand arch is right down there. Obviously, this is a great spot if you've got kids. Now we're back on the road, heading towards the back of the park. Our next stop is going to be the Skyline Arch. All kinds of good views out here in the arches. Okay, we are now at Skyline Arch Trail. So the last trail was about 1/3 of a mile round trip, and this trail is just slightly longer than that one. And this is the back of the Skyline Arch Trail. Gives you an idea of the view. Now to give you a perspective on the distance, the sand trail we just did, that was 1/3 of a mile round trip. This one is 4/10 of a mile, so still less than a half mile round trip. If it's hot outside, there are some trees right around the corner of this bottom rock. Provide you some shade. You can sit down, have a little picnic there if you wanted to. But all right, we're gonna head back out, get on the road, check out the next spot. So it's now gonna be a pretty short drive to the end of the park. As you get to the end, it's going to split. It's kind of a circle. Regardless, there's a campground down here. So if you wanted to camp on the property itself, there's little picnic areas you just saw right there. If you wanted to camp on the property itself, you would turn in here and make your way up to the campgrounds. We'll drive through here so you can just kind of look around, check out the campground. You can actually see the back of one of the arches. We'll pull over at that in just a second. But if you slow your computer down to maybe half speed or quarter speed, you'll be able to kind of check out each one of these campsites individually, and so you know what to expect from the campsite that you choose. So as we're almost to the back of the park at this point, we passed an amphitheater just a little bit back. This is a little circle in the back of it. And we pull back around and start heading back up, and there's a spot that you can see the back of the skyline. We're going to go to that. It's right by the amphitheater. And if you're staying at the campground, come back to the amphitheater area and you can see the opposite side of the skyline. So we came back out of the campground, took a right, continued to the back of the park, which is almost immediately. We're now at the Devil Garden Trailhead. There's a few trails back here. If you take the full trail, the longest part, it'll be 8 miles total. Now when you're coming in on Devil's Garden Trailhead, you come to a Y. We took a right at the Y. It's taking us down here to a couple of different viewpoints. We'll fast forward to that in just a second. And when you make it down to Tunnel Arch, we are only about a 5-minute walk from the parking lot right here. You'll see this. Pine tree right here.
I see it. Where's the rock?
And there's an arch over there.
Okay. There you go. Okay, ready? Go.
And when you get to the pine tree arch, you have this pine tree, and then the arch.
Although I'm pretty sure it's named for the pine tree that's in the center of the arch.
Now we're back up and we are heading over to landscape. That's the landscape arch. And here's your map. Get your trailhead where we parked. We came up to that first tunnel and pine tree arch. Now that you are here, being the landscape arch. Obviously the biggest one we've seen all day. If you keep walking, you can make your way all the way out there to Dark Angel, private arch. They say that this trail is almost 8 miles if you do the entire trip. A little better picture as we get closer. And we believe this is the partition arch. Now we're gonna forego this next 5 miles and go back to the beginning to the north and south windows. This is like we're walking in God's Manhattan. This is God's skyscrapers we're walking next to. God's Flatiron building. So this was the trailhead we just left. We're gonna make our way back to the beginning since we started. Look at the map, we started at the Delicate Arch. Now we're going to make our way about 15 miles back to the north and south window. And as we head back towards the entrance, I'm going to take a shot here over towards the right here, showing you kind of the more open plains area. We're going to stop at a spot called Panorama Point. That's about halfway back towards the entrance. Now a slow drive around this Panorama View. This is an overlook. See the snow off in the mountains. And looking out here into Arches. Now we'll kind of fast forward to the Garden of Eden viewpoint. This is another overlook that is within the park, just where you can pull up and take a quick view around. And this is what they call the Garden of Eden viewpoint. And now we're coming up to the windows. A little closer shot of it. And as you pan over, you can see the wild child. Okay, we are now at the north window and the south window. And before I kind of wrap up the rest, I just want to tell you that, remember, we're doing these videos as a way to show different places you can go as you're traveling around the country, as you're dealing with your stress and your anxiety and your PTSD, whether you have PTSD from being a first responder, being a veteran, it's just life in general, hard things that you have in life that is just really difficult and weighs you down. You need to get away, you need to decompress, you need to disclose information to people that you care about you, willing to listen, get that off your chest. Move on in life, realize that life is making you stronger when we grow from those struggles. With that said, I'm going to point out that we've got the north window and we've got the south window. You got the mountains over here in the distance. The see some snow over there. And the turret arch is going to be over here to the right. Now this one will kind of be the wrap up of our video. Over here to the right, you can see that'll be just the parking lot of the first area you come to. When you come into the park, drive a little ways, first road to the right, you'll come to this parking lot. This is an easy trail if you've got kids. If you're a little bit older, these will be easy trails to get to. It's only a few hundred yards to get out here. After this, you'll head back to all those trails we showed you at the beginning of the video. All right, thanks for watching. And remember, you're being built, you're not being broken. Remember that time we went to Moab and we went to Arches National Park?
Whoa!
And we were getting blown almost off the road in a giant sandstorm?
No way.